Week 3 was an absolute disaster class for the New Orleans Saints. The Seattle Seahawks kicked our butts. It was BTA for all 4 quarters. It was over within the first few minutes for what it's worth. They went up 21-0 just like that, and all of a sudden you found the New Orleans Saints playing not even a game you would call football. So it's time for Overreaction Monday because the New Orleans Saints, they got exposed, they got embarrassed, and they got absolutely dismantled by the Seattle Seahawks. So we're going to have a pretty interesting and pretty fun reaction here on Saints Now by Chat Sports. Want to give you a quick reminder. We are going live today, Monday, 3 p.m. Central Time, so be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. We'll be having an opportunity to talk more about this matchup, look ahead into the next game, and then we'll also be live on Thursday, 3 p.m. Central Time as well, and then live again on game day. So be sure to subscribe for more live content, daily videos, short-form content, and a whole lot more by Saints fans, for Saints fans, here from Saints Now by Chat Sports. Now, before we start, I want to make a couple of things clear here. I understand that this is a rebuilding team. I understand that the expectations should never have been high. I also understand that we are still early in the season. There's a lot of things that you can sit here and make an argument for to try to make yourself either get worked up more about this loss or feel a little bit better about it. We have a long season ahead either way. I mean, the New Orleans Saints are now going into week 4, and you have not had 1 week of good football quite yet. I love this team. I'm a diehard Saints fan. I've been a diehard Saints fan since the minute I started watching professional football. That's why I will not tolerate mediocrity. That is why I have high expectations. That is why I'm going to be brutally honest, and I'm going to keep it 100% real anytime I get on the mic. So first things first, let's have overreaction number 1. Is it time to tank? There's a lot of people on social media. There's a lot of people out there saying that the New Orleans Saints need to just blow it all up. They've needed to do it. They've needed to get all of it done, clear up the cap space, get figured out, get rid of Mickey Loomis, get rid of Gail Benson, sell the team, blow it up, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go ahead and argue my point on that because I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to tank. I think tanking is actually pointless. The New Orleans Saints are going to lose games either way. The New Orleans Saints are not going to win a lot of games. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to be the person to rain on everyone's parade who thought that this team could be capable of double-digit wins. It's not going to happen. The Saints will lose games whether you like it or not. So trying to lose games doesn't really make any sense in my opinion. And that's also why I'm not really advocating to the whole start Jake Haener thing. I know it's a lot of people overreacting on social media. We're fans. Fan is short for fanatic. People go crazy when they're fanatic of something. I understand that. But the New Orleans Saints, moving forward, they need to be smart with this rebuild because the reality is they are already in the midst of a rebuild, and they don't need to necessarily keep tanking because they're going to lose anyway. So welcome to rebuilding. This is not a fun thing to do, but the goal is long-term success. It's not trying to get to a Super Bowl right here and right now. It's not trying to win the division right here and right now. I know that it's a terrible division, but the New Orleans Saints are a terrible football team. And the Saints need to prioritize developing the young players and the young talent. And I'm not saying that they need to take guys like Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Alvin Kamara off the field. That could not be further from the truth. I want those dudes on the field, because I think that those guys are instrumental in helping develop the other players around them. But I do think that you need to have an honest look at your roster if you're Kellen Moore and say, Isaac Yiadom probably doesn't need to be on the field. Let's go ahead and put in Quincy Riley. You know what? Maybe Danny Stutzman should get a little bit of extra rotation in here and there. Why not? Maybe not just a special teams guy. Maybe go ahead and start working with him a little bit more. And I understand that some of these guys have been lost to injury. I mean, you lose Vernon Broughton, Devin Neal kind of getting buried behind Kendre Miller. Like, I just think that the Saints need to start thinking more about the future and less about right now. I love Brandon Cooks. It's a cool story that he's back. Maybe you get Mason Tipton a little bit more run. Maybe you get a different player more run. Maybe you get Trey Palmer more run. I understand he was hurt, but knew everything. But my point being, the Saints need to prioritize developing their young talent rather than catering and not catering to, but putting out the older veterans just for the sake of trying to compete. I think they need to prioritize developing their young players, not trying to win because they're going to lose games either way. Well, for what it's worth, when you're in a rebuild, you're also going to probably get some interest in trades. You're also going to be in the center of trade rumors. You're also going to get a lot of eyeballs on, hey, maybe these guys are looking to offload their talent. So especially when you get closer to the trade deadline, you may not see a ton right now, but I am here to tell you, you will start seeing Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Alvin Kamara trade rumors all pop up. You'll see Chris Olave trade rumors pop up. You're going to see a lot of these things pop up, and that's part of being in a rebuild. That's part of being at the bottom of the barrel when you are in a situation like the New Orleans Saints. Again, you're not trying to win right now. You're trying to win in a couple of years. You're trying to develop and learn and grow and build a foundation right here, right now. So overreaction number 2, we're talking about trades. Maybe you start maybe it's time to start taking trade calls. Maybe it's time for Mickey Loomis to stop sending picks away and start bringing picks back in. And I want to make one thing very, very clear here. When I say maybe, I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying just there it's worth having a discussion about. The Saints are not a good football team. They are 0-3. They are one of a few teams that have not logged a win yet. That all being said, I am not willing to trade anyone yet. If we're 0-7, I hate to say it, but maybe. But I'm not willing to trade anybody quite yet. Because I do, again, like I said earlier, think that there is value in having some of these veterans, some of these young guys around right now because you are still trying to learn and develop and create the foundation for a roster for the foreseeable future. You have to find out if some of these guys are a part of that or not. Now, you do have some players that you could potentially trade to bring back in some draft capital. The New Orleans Saints, you'll take a look in a moment. They are lacking draft picks, but I think your best options in terms of trade value, Alvin Kamara could definitely get you something in return. I don't think he's going to get you what you want. Saints fans, we love Alvin Kamara a lot more than the rest of the National Football League. Spencer Rattler, just because he's a quarterback, maybe the Saints want to send him away, and they're like, we're all in on going with Tyler Shough. He is playing good football, so maybe he could get a decent return. Chris Olave, he's a good wide receiver. He's going to demand a payday sooner rather than later. He is going to have he did get his fifth-year option picked up, so you have time, but you're also going to have to worry about Rashid Shaheed. There's money to be spent within those two players. Trevor Penning, he hasn't been amazing. You're going to have to decide whether or not you want to bring him back. You didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Carl Granderson, Chase Young, Isaac Yadam, Demario Davis, Pete Werner. Those are some players that competitive teams that need just one more guy or another dude in the rotation. Maybe those are players that could potentially be offloaded as well. You will notice I did not include Cam Jordan, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Alante Taylor, some of those dudes, because I do want to keep some of these guys around. I love Demario Davis, but linebackers are valuable, especially good linebackers like Demario Davis. And again, you don't have a lot of draft capital moving forward. You have no 4th-round pick and no 7th-round pick in 2026. No 6th or no 7th-round pick in 2027. 2028, you actually have more picks. No 6th, but 3 7th-round picks. And then 2029, you have all 7 picks that you would have originally. So the New Orleans Saints could look to try to bring some picks back in. This past year, they made 9 selections. Right now, they're up to make 5. And the Saints don't have a good history of drafting well. So if they're going to want to get better draft picks and they're going to want to start doing better on the roster, they're going to need more than 5 opportunities to do that, in my personal opinion. Now, if you think that the Saints need to start making trades, and if you think that they should start considering offloading some of these guys, I want you to name who you would move. I want you to get in the comment section and name who you would like to trade away this offseason if you needed to make a trade. Number 3 overreaction, sign Younghoe Koo. Here's the situation. Blake Grupe has been bad. He has not been good yet. 4 of 7 right now from field goals, 5 of 5 on extra points, a long of 36. He was so consistent in the preseason. He was praised all summer for his consistency, and he has just not been good. He's missed from 53, 43, and 42. He needs to be better. And it's unfortunate because Blake Grupe is a captain, and I do think that he's a player that the Saints need better production out of. And if he's not going to play well, there is a guy in the NFC South who just was made available by the Atlanta Falcons. Oh, and for what it's worth, the Falcons cut Younghoe Koo, and then their new kicker, John Parker Romo, missed 2 field goals. It's pretty funny, if you ask me. Now, Younghoe Koo, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for him. He hasn't been perfect. He hasn't been amazing. He's missed a lot of field goals throughout his day. Darren Rizzi, fair to say he broke him. But is he an upgrade over Blake Grupe? Is he more clutch than Blake Grupe? Can he hit those field goals? Can he be more consistent than Blake Grupe? Those are the questions you have to ask. You have to answer when it comes to making a change at the kicker position. For what it's worth, I do recognize Blake Grupe needs to be better. He has to be a better kicker. That's just point blank, period. That is obvious. But he is a captain, so I don't think the New Orleans Saints have any intentions of moving on from him, at least during this season. Maybe in the offseason, he gets more competition and, Charlie Smith has an opportunity or somebody gets drafted or signed as a UDFA or in free agency or traded for, whatever. But right now, I just don't see the Saints moving on from Blake Grupe, especially considering he's a captain. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about overreaction number 4 and number 5. Number 4 being bench Spencer Rattler for Tyler Shough. Yeah, we're going to have a conversation. First things first, though, we got to tell you about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world. I absolutely love playing Prize Picks. Maddie loves playing Prize Picks. Lopez loves playing Prize Picks. And I'll tell you what, you will too. You and I, ladies and gentlemen, we make decisions every single day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any excitement of the season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. They put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this season. Prize Picks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, don't worry about it. Prize Picks will not count it as a loss. So for what it's worth, I got this little fun one cooked up today for Monday Night Football. Amon-Ra St. Brown, got to find the end zone once. Derrick Henry, got to find the end zone once. We got a demon. We got a goblin. Having some fun here right before Halloween, right before we get to spooky season over on Prize Picks, and I encourage you to do the exact same thing. A lot of fun players to put your projections on. Pick more, pick less. If you get the information right based on the player stat projections, you will win some cash. Turn your ball knowledge into cold hard cash over on Prize Picks and download the app today. And Saints Now is here to make the deal a little bit sweeter. If you use code CLNS, you will get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. All of that information is in the comments and description of this video. Alrighty, I want something to be very, very clear here. Throat's getting caught up. Sorry, guys. Tyler Shough. Is it time to put him in? You have to have this conversation because he did get some run yesterday. He did get to go out and play one drive. Didn't really do anything. It was a 3 and out. That was it. But the Saints are winless. And the New Orleans Saints also spent a top 50 pick on a quarterback. And at a certain point, and at some point, you're going to have a brutally honest discussion and say whether or not you want to see what you have in Tyler Shough. And I want to give a lot of credit to Spencer Rattler because this is not a bench Spencer Rattler because he's been bad conversation. That couldn't be further from what the case has been. Spencer Rattler has not been the problem thus far for the New Orleans Saints offense. Rattler's actually proving Kellen Moore right. I think that he's showing why Spencer Rattler won the quarterback battle. I think he's showing why Kellen Moore made that decision to put him out there. He's competitive. I mean, they're in the whole 30-plus points, and he's still out there competing his ass off. And that's something I admire about Spencer Rattler. And when Tyler Shough got in there, I know it was way out of reach. The game was already done, but, I mean, God, it just wasn't really anything special. And that's nothing to knock Shough. That's totally okay. He was in a bad spot, in a bad situation. I'm not going to discredit him for that. I've been pleasantly surprised with Spencer Rattler. He has not been the problem, and if you want to say he has been, here to tell you you're wrong. I mean, look at the numbers for this guy. For this season, of course it's 0-3. Wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. But he has kept this team in the game for the first 2 weeks. He gave the team an opportunity to win in both week 1 and week 2. It came down to the final drive in both of those games. Spencer Rattler has almost a 70% completion rate, over 600 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, a passer rating of 88.2. He's protected the football well. He's been solid. I'm going to say that the New Orleans Saints do not need to take Spencer Rattler off the field because he's been one of the few bright spots of the Saints offense. And the Saints offense has been atrocious, but he has been good. Every game he's played has been 200-plus yards. So I want to see Spencer Rattler continue to play and continue to develop and continue to show why he's the Saints quarterback, because he's doing a good job. So I'm going to say let's pump the brakes on the whole start Tyler Shough conversation. And I'm not saying every single one of you wants to do that, but I saw it in my live chat yesterday. I see it in my comments on our instant reaction video from last night, which is going crazy right now. Check it out after this video. I also saw it on social media as well, among Saints Twitter and on Instagram and my comments and everything. So let's pump the brakes on Tyler Shough, because I do believe we will see Tyler Shough again this season. Whether it's the New Orleans Saints getting their ass kicked or they're kicking another team's ass, I think Tyler Shough will take the field once again. I do wonder if he will start any games. I'm not saying that just because he got to go in, that's an indicator that Kellen Moore wants to start Tyler Shough soon, but I don't think it's nothing. I don't think it's nothing. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's sky's falling, all hell should break loose for Spencer Rattler. But they try to get a look at him. They try to see what's happening. So I wonder if he'll start any games. Looking ahead to some of these games, I mean, week 4, you travel to Buffalo, you might lose by 70. Just going to be totally honest, but it's okay. We'll be live, and we'll all get through that one together. Week 5, Giants come to New Orleans. Maybe you can get a win there. Maybe not. Could be Dart versus Shough. Could be Dart versus Rattler. Maybe Jackson Dart. Maybe Russell Wilson. Maybe it's Jameis Winston. Who knows? It'll probably be Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson hasn't been good. New England Patriots in week 6. Chicago Bears, you have to take on Dennis Allen's defense and Caleb Williams, who just got a win over the Dallas Cowboys. And then you see, looking ahead, you start getting some NFC South play, and then you get the bye in week 11. Maybe that's where an opportunity for Shough to potentially start comes in after that bye week. At the end of the day, there is a conversation to be had about starting Tyler Shough. I don't think that it's a conversation that absolutely needs to start today, but I mean, at this pace, you're winless, and if that continues, then you have to have an honest conversation about your team. So we'll have to see what happens around that regard. Now, overreaction number 5, the last one of today's video. Is it mock draft season? And that is overreaction number 5, because it is a wild overreaction, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy to say, but like, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm going to just keep it totally honest. I'm considering starting draft prep. I'm considering starting to do some mock drafts. If we get to week 5 without a win, and the New Orleans Saints are one of the few winless teams left, we are going to start doing mock drafts on this channel. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that, because it might be good to start familiarizing yourselves with the players at the top of the draft, because the Saints are going to be picking in that spot. Maybe not 1, maybe not 2, but it'll definitely be in the top 5, in my opinion. So I'll ask you the question. I'll let you guys weigh in on whether or not I do a mock draft video soon. Just type yes or no. Should I do one? Let me know in the comments. If you guys want me to, I'll do one later this week as a part of our live show. And if not, totally understand. Maybe it's too early, but we are getting pretty close to that part. So take this as your warning that we might start getting some of those. Now, again, mock draft season. Let's have a conversation, because there is some teams who are all competing right now for the number 1 overall pick. Through 3 weeks, 6 teams remain winless. The New Orleans Saints, the New York Giants, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Titans, and the Texans. Unfortunately, the New Orleans Saints are in a bad position, because I don't think the Dolphins are going to be doing much better anytime soon. I don't think the Titans are going to be doing much better anytime soon. I don't think the Giants will be doing much better anytime soon. So they are kind of in a weird spot where they are not necessarily locked in for the number 1 overall seed, but I will say they're in a prime position to draft a top quarterback. Because if you're in the top 3, top 4, top 5, top 6 even, going back to it, remember, Saints, Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Titans, Texans. Texans just a couple of years ago, drafted C.J. Stroud with a top pick. Titans just drafted Cam Ward last year with the number 1 overall pick. Dolphins, they could look to take a quarterback, so maybe they take one. but there's still other guys that are left available on the board. The Jets, maybe they take one. They have Justin Fields right now, but maybe they look to take one. Still have other guys still on the board. The Giants just took Jackson Dart. They traded back into the first round to go get him, so they're not going to move off of him anytime soon. So you are in a prime position to take one of the top quarterbacks available right here, right now. If everything holds, you could land one. Now, in terms of who are the top prospects, I'll give you a few names to look at. You obviously could take into consideration Lenore Sellers, Cade Klubnik, maybe Arch Manning. I'm going to keep it real with you. Arch needs to go back for another year. I want nothing to do with him right now. Totally honest, I'm not totally impressed with a lot of the quarterback play from some of these top guys who we were supposed to be drafted number 1 overall. Nussmeier is still a name that I am interested in, though. John Mateer has been really, really good for the Oklahoma Sooners. I wouldn't mind going wide receiver. Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate could both be really good options. Offensive line is also an option for the Saints because Cesar Ruiz and the interior offensive line definitely needs to be better. They may not have Trevor Penning around next year, so they could be looking to add in a guard. Caleb Downs, one of the best overall prospects available, a safety from Ohio State. I really, really like him. But the defensive line is also a spot that the New Orleans Saints need to get better at. So Reuben Bain Jr., TJ Parker, Cassius Howe, a couple other names to kind of keep your eyes peeled on as you watch the rest of this college football season. I want to make one thing explicitly clear here, kind of going back to my point earlier. The New Orleans Saints need to hit on their draft picks because the most important part of a rebuild is hitting on your draft picks. The New Orleans Saints, whether they will admit it or not, they are rebuilding. They are in the midst of it right now. They have a first-year starting quarterback. Spencer Rattler was not a Week 1 starter last year. He started a few games. This year, he was a Week 1 starter. He got barely any run last year. New head coach, new starting quarterback, but newish starting quarterback. You drafted a quarterback with a top 50 pick. The only thing you haven't done is changed GM and ownership. So you are in the midst of a rebuild, whether you want to admit it or not. You have to hit on your draft picks. And especially if you're going to walk in with just 5 picks, you have no choice but to hit on those picks. Because if you miss on those, oh my God, you are pushing off yet another couple of years of piss-poor football, bad decision-making, and horrible contracts because you're going to inevitably end up paying some of these guys because that's just how Mickey Loomis operates. So you got to hit on these draft picks. You got to take guys that are going to make your team better. It doesn't matter what you took most recently. If you have an opportunity to make your roster immediately better by drafting a top quarterback, drafting a top safety, drafting a top edge rusher, drafting a top receiver, drafting a top running back, whatever it is, if you have an opportunity to improve your roster, you need to take it because the New Orleans Saints are in no position to say, oh, no, we're too good to take this spot. We're too good to do this. We're too good to target this kind of player. No. That is not what the New Orleans Saints are doing. So I will just keep it real with you guys. I think that the Saints need to hit on these draft picks because if they don't, they are set up for disaster. Now, what position do you think that the Saints should draft in round 1? Let me know in the comment section. I want to hear from you. I wouldn't mind quarterback. I would actually love wide receiver. Edge rusher, get me a dog edge rusher would be really, really fun. I just want somebody for what it's worth. I want somebody whose jersey I can buy, and I want somebody who's going to make me still tune in on Sundays because this team is getting hard to watch. Now, I appreciate you guys for rocking and rolling with us. Friendly reminder, we will be live later on today, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for tuning into our watch party yesterday. Had a lot of fun, did some really awesome numbers, and we had a blast hanging out with every single one of you despite a piss-poor football game. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. For my guy, Loco Lopez, y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.